This is The Process Shot. I'm Michael. I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater, and I've now seen The Harder They Fall, a new Western drama from director James Samuel. A fictional story based on real-life black figures from the Old West, it follows outlaw Nat Love and his gang as he seeks out Rufus Buck, an enemy gang leader and the killer of his parents when Nat was a child. With the help of a former lover and a U.S. Marshal, Nat and his gang manage to track Buck to his hometown, where he has taken back control from an associate and further demanded a tax from its people to recoup. When Buck's gang takes a hostage, Nat puts everything on the line to have his revenge. The movie follows a pretty basic structure here, with a plot that holds to the usual Western genre conventions and ideas. It does treat its story with a bit of self-awareness, though not in a metatextual way of breaking the fourth wall or satirizing the genre and its cliches, being more like a combination of adhering to a formula while being able to look back on it and other Westerns in hindsight, offering a different perspective on events and giving the old stories a more contemporary edge to it all. It's not entirely perfect, with that self-reflection coming out at times as if they're trying to nudge the audience into not taking everything so seriously, despite the relative weight that the actual story does try to convey. It's a bit of a tonal imbalance, is what I'm getting at. Characters are also a bit imbalanced when it comes to fitting into the general sense of the Western tone, but there it's at least a bit more natural and does offer a respite from the traditional genre standards, and adds more variety to everything that's going on. Overall, it could be argued that the film is less about the story and its themes, and more about the characters and their development. But I'm too lazy to argue about it right now. I will say that despite the cast being primarily black, whereas most westerns rarely, if ever, have a single black person, the film doesn't really delve all that much into racial or social commentary, save for some minor asides and one rather humorous scene later on in the film. Anyways, The Harder They Fall does still know that it's made to be an action-driven western, and it manages to maintain a stronger balance between a self-aware style and traditional elements in its technical design. Cinematography and editing are pretty much the primary means of accomplishing this, with a rather refined visual style that manages to combine classic aesthetics of the genre with more contemporary filmmaking ideas, from long zooms and cross-cutting to split screen and some digital effects, with the whole thing wrapped in a slick pacing that knows when to hold back and when to let rip, so to speak. Basically, the film's scenes are cut with a dynamic sense of timing that will open with fast and heavy action, then step back and bring events to a crawl, and hit you again with one last burst of energy. It's a bit rhythmic in a sense, lending the whole film a sort of ebb and flow when it comes to its overall pacing between scenes with Nat and those with Rufus. It's not entirely there, but it's present enough that the film doesn't drag on at points, nor remain visually uninteresting or a bloated mess of action. In the end, I'd say that The Harder They Fall is kind of hit or miss. The story does keep to standard roles found in Western films, not really deviating all that much from where they start, or in some cases becoming somewhat less, and the film doesn't really seem to offer any information about the real men and women who inspired these characters. While cinematography is rather nifty, it can sometimes be a bit uninteresting, mostly due to how cluttered the colors can be. Overall, though, the film does seem less focused on trying to be high art and more on being a story that the filmmakers wanted to tell. And at the end of the day, it's still a pretty fun ride, and certainly a much more different story from the other westerns offered so far this year. Then again, I've only seen like 2. The Harder They Fall. Jeymes Samuel, 2021. 3.5 stars. I'll give it a recommendation, though I don't really have the clout for that to mean anything. But I'd still say to watch it. Anyways, that's it for this review. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. As always, subscribe to the channel for more reviews. I actually don't think I've seen too many new westerns this year. I should make a list or something.